What's going on, everybody? TRAE4JUSTICE back in the building. I gotta get used to saying that. I actually had to sit and process that for a second because I want to say the old name, but it's TRAE4JUSTICE now. But thank you all so much, everybody that participated in the poll, everyone that let me know what name they wanted for the community, which is now Trae Nation, and everybody that let me know they wanted the channel to be called TRAE4JUSTICE, which is an incredible name. But thank you for joining me, and welcome back to part 3 of day 10 of the Darrell trial. I think we're on part 3. I feel like at this point no video I do is complete without a random technical problem just holding everything up, so I'm sorry about that. I pretty much had to cut it in half because my computer wouldn't take the whole video. It makes it embarrassing when I tell you all I'm gonna have a video up at this time and then my computer doesn't agree with me, so I'm sorry for the hold up, but I hope you all are doing good. I hope you all are staying safe wherever you are all over the world. Now, I think I mentioned this in the video, but it seems like day 10 pretty much has everything. You have me being annoyed, Darrell making a complete fool of himself and nearly making the entire courtroom laugh, and then just boring moments where he's dragging out a cross exam. I mean, you all know about that, which hopefully I cut all of it out so you won't know too much about that happening in this video. But I don't want to hold you guys up any longer. I just want to say thank you to a few people that donated. So thank you so much to Shelly Wianecki for a $2 donation. Once again, I hope I'm saying your last name right, but I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. Thank you so much to Jamie for a $2 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for sticking with me and for watching along. Thank you so much to Rhonda Malati for a $2 donation. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name right, but thank you so much for sticking with me and for watching along. Thank you so much to Letitia is Georgia Peach Sweet for a $5 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching along and for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to Laura Kaiser for a $10 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me as well. And thank you so much to Miss Rebecca Reams for a $10 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along, for sticking with me, and thank you for the very detailed plan that you wrote out. I actually have it up right here. I know you all can't see it, but and thank you all for the trial suggestions as well that everyone has given me. I have a note in my phone with like a dozen suggestions that everybody's given me, so I do have them. I have not forgotten about them. I actually plan on doing a Travis Rudolph reaction this week, so make sure to look out for that. But thank you so much to Miss Rebecca Reams for a $10 donation. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again to Ali B for another $10 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. Thank you again to Mary McGloshin for a $15 or 15 pound. I'm sorry, I think that's the correct way to say it, but thank you so much for a 15-pound donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. Thank you so much to Peggy H for a $20 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for pretty much getting the ball rolling when it came to the nickname for the channel and just basically letting me know that it's probably time for me to get a new name for like the community. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching along. Thank you so much to Florida for a $5 buy me a coffee donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. Thank you so much to B for a $25 buy me a coffee donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching along and for sticking with me. Thank you so much to EY. I hope I'm saying it right. It's spelled EWA. I'm sorry if I'm not saying it right, but thank you so much for a $5 buy me a coffee donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching along and for sticking with me. And then we also had an anonymous $5 buy me a coffee donation. So whoever you are, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for watching along, for sticking with me, and all the continued support. And thank you all so much. But most importantly, nobody has to give me a single thing, guys. What I will say is, if you would like to donate to the community of Waukesha, somebody corrected me on the name, so thank you so much for that. But if you would like to donate to the community of Waukesha and the victims, there are links pinned at the top of the comment section. So if you're looking for resources to do that, it's right there for you. Okay, I don't want to hold you guys up any longer. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Mr. Bergstein, the last thing you said, I heard you say that's hilarious. What were you referring to?
I was referring to, like, are you serious? Some of the same things that I ask on when it's my time to question the witness can be overruled But when the same thing is done, and I object, it's nothing. It's just thrown. It's just thrown to the side. I just think that's funny.
Well,
I
sir,
really do.
I don't.
Can we get him a box
find
of
it funny,
Kleenex or something
number
so
one.
he can cry?
Number two.
What do we?
You're not in my position either.
The court rules on the objections at the time that the objections are made. I know, and I wanted to address this briefly. You can have a seat. You had questioned during the testimony of this witness, Exhibit 83, because I believe what you were saying is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, the copy of the report you have does not have an exhibit sticker on it.
It don't.
Right, and
You want to see it?
I don't doubt that your copy does not have an exhibit sticker, because at the time the report was provided to you, and I'll have the state correct me if I'm wrong on this, it would have been provided through the course of discovery. I'd also note that on April, I believe 22nd of 2022, the state filed a notice of expert naming Inspector Ryan Schultz as an expert witness and indicated that he would testify consistent with his report. And then I directed your attention to the statutes in the rules of evidence dealing with expert testimony, specifically starting at 907.02 through 907.07.
Okay, sorry to pause so early on. But isn't this insane that we have to take the time to address his tantrum about there not being the words exhibit or just the word exhibit at the top of his paper? It's weird. I mean, obviously this is just something that he wants to cry about, and he feels so happy right now that he's being acknowledged and that it has to be addressed in the first place. Now, once again, I understand that it has to be addressed because this is a trial. We have to make sure everything is handled in a thorough manner. But the one thing, it just annoys me when he feels like he's validated. That's the only thing. I'm not upset with Judge Darrell in any sort of way. I'm just upset about him having any sort of feeling as if he's made some sort of progress with forcing this trial to go in his direction, because this moment he feels like it's a little win for him or something like that. So yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to say.
And that is why I didn't stop during the testimony to have a discussion outside the presence of the jury, because at that point the objection to not having an exhibit sticker on your report is not would not prevent the court from receiving the exhibit once the proper foundation was laid, which in my opinion it was. And the fact that your document didn't have that specific exhibit sticker,
it means nothing.
Doesn't diminish the fact that I know from your cross-examination you were referring to the report. At times you referred to it by page number. It was clear from your questioning that you had reviewed it. I would just note two examples. You asked some questions regarding visibility and the impact of the high beams. That was one example. And then secondly, questioning him about the ball joint and whether it needed attention and what that would mean. And so I just wanted to make... That didn't
come from the report, Your Honor. The only thing that came from the report was from page 9, when I was trying to get clarity about why it said worn tie rod.
I knew he would still be standing as well.
Oh, and you actually questioned the witness about the different tire and what that would mean. So I thought three good areas of cross-examination that you covered. As far as the other issues I think that you might have when there's redirect, I'm not going to explain what redirect is, sir, but again, for my position, there's direct examination, there's cross-examination. The state or any witness, any party that calls a witness always has the opportunity to ask the direct exam questions and then redirect based upon what's asked during cross-examination. Sometimes that...
Is this not like a child that's misbehaving? Like, okay, I've given examples like this before, but when I was in school, like in high school, not even really high school, I mean, there was sometimes in high school stuff like this would happen, but in like middle school or something, and I know you all don't like me comparing him to a child, but like we've all seen like moments like this where there's like a child that's like told to stand up because the teacher can see that he's like not paying attention, and then she scolds him in front of the class, and this is literally what they do. But this is a 40-year-old man. This is a 40-year-old man, and once again, I know a lot of you don't like me even calling him a man as well, but it's like, I don't know. This stuff just grosses me out to see this kind of thing. I don't know.
There's some repetition, but I didn't see anything through the redirect of this witness that I thought was improper.
I hope she talks
so
for longer.
I just wanted to make a record of that. I am going to caution you, sir.
Do you understand what I was saying?
But you, during multiple times during the questioning of that witness, you were mumbling under your breath. You say disparaging remarks toward the court, toward the witness, or toward the process.
So if it was disparaging, what did I say?
Sir, you say things like it's not fair, or you make noises that suggest like you're disgusted with the ruling that is made.
So you're assuming what I mean by that, and when did I say it wasn't fair?
Mr. Brooks, I'm just making a record because
you're making an incorrect record.
It's important that you demonstrate courtesy and decorum through these proceedings, and that you give respect to the witnesses who are testifying in the process.
Did the witness feel disrespected? Did the witness say anything about feeling disrespected?
Mr. Brooks, I'm not going to engage in this back and forth with you because, first of all, it's a mischaracterization of my observations, number one. And number two,
your observations are incorrect.
It's my job to ensure that under 906.11 that there's the effective presentation, and I'll just refer you to that once again. I'll read it into the record.
You don't need to read it.
Under 906.
She's going to
make a correct.
The judge shall exercise reasonable control over the mode and order of interrogating witnesses and presenting evidence so as to do all of the following. Make the interrogation and presentation effective for the ascertainment of truth.
And she will read it on the record again then.
Consumption of time, protect witnesses from harassment or undue embarrassment. Sub 2 talks about the scope of cross-examination. Sub 3 talks about leading questions, and when leading questions may be used to develop the witness's testimony. So with that, we'll take our break. I'll start the 15 minutes. It's 3:13. We are in recess. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. I did actually take note of when the court overruled one of Mr. Brooks' objections. His response was, stop trying to be slick.
Yeah, I did say that.
So, just for the record, I thought that was very disrespectful.
Thank you, I would agree.
Judge, can we discuss scheduling at some point as well, either now or on the return?
When we come back.
Why wasn't that addressed right when it happened?
Honestly,
let's just ignore them and go on with our day, please.
Because that's the definition of trying to be slick.
During the trial, and trying my best here to frankly minimize pointing those things out to the jury and instead pointing them out outside the presence of the jury. You may have noticed I've even started to say I'd remind the jurors that the comments of the parties or the attorneys are not evidence, so as to cast a broad brush and not simply highlight your conduct.
I haven't noticed anything, and
but all right, we're in recess. Thank you.
What conduct you're referring to? If you're gonna be biased, then somebody else.
Jeez, oh man, we started off this video on a tantrum. Okay, so. And once again, I'm going to apologize. I know you guys tell me once again I don't have to apologize as much. But like, I just want to say I'm sorry in advance because I am already agitated. It's just like the entitlement that he displays, and it's so weird. I'll go ahead and skip forward to the next part.
Thank you. Please be seated.
All right,
we'll
we're
go
back
on the record.
Which means subject matter jurisdiction questions are here and waiting.
Do you want to talk scheduling?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Go ahead.
And thank you for a little extra time here. I spoke with the defendant about his witnesses for tomorrow, and I believe he's filling out the paper that I asked him to so we can get his witnesses here. I can tell the court this. I have 2 crime lab analysts to testify yet this afternoon. They're both here. One's the next one is from the Milwaukee lab. The second one's from the Madison lab. So if we could complete their testimony today, it would be greatly appreciated. I don't know how late you intend to go today or how long it will take, but I'm being optimistic. Our final witness would be a recall of Detective Casey briefly for some
oh yeah,
follow-up
Detective
matters.
Casey.
And then we would be in a position to rest. I don't hold out hope that we'll probably be able to rest yet this evening, but maybe, depending on how late you go and how smooth things move along.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that information, and I appreciate the parties discussing off the record some of the issues related to the defense witnesses, so that's great to hear. I'm planned to, I can go a little bit later tonight, and I would say no later than 6, but if need be, if we can get through those 2 witnesses and Detective Casey, that would be great. But let's see how we go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir, did you have anything?
Yes, I do. Detective Casey already testified. What would be the significance of him testifying again?
Well, let's take that up later. I want to deal with the lab analysts who are here first and not delay their testimony any further.
Okay. Situations like this. Okay, this is going to be an incoming tantrum right here. So he feels as if he was just brushed off. And you know, like I said in the last video, he loves attention. He loves the fact that he's being addressed and everybody is like acknowledging that he exists pretty much. So right now, because his question didn't get an answer, now we're going to have a tantrum for like the next 15 minutes. So I just wanted to take a second so we can get mentally prepared for that. Because as soon as this started, this guy just... I don't know. I don't know. Let's go ahead.
So, other than that issue, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I thought he was released from his subpoena. At least that was my guess.
I honestly don't recall whether that question was asked of me. I know he's the court officer and he's been here. I'd have to take a look at the record from when he testified and see if there was any reservation or have the state make an offer of proof, and we can go from there, but I'm not going to do that right now. I want to have those lab analysts testify. They're here, and we can take up more fully the issue with Detective Casey after they're done testifying.
So how late do we plan on going?
I will go as late as 6 o'clock if need be. So I want to keep pushing along. I want to...
Yeah, that's definitely pushing it.
Do you have somewhere to be in jail?
Stayed till 5:36. Previously, there were times during jury selection we stayed till probably 7 or 7:30. The last 2 nights we did.
You have some walls to stare at?
4:45, and so I'm willing to go a little bit later tonight. So it's 3:30 now. We'll see how things go.
I was making that for saying that on the record because in my position that is kind of late.
In your
well,
position.
Let's start now and we'll get going, and maybe we don't have to go.
Oh my gosh, this is just
Sorry,
insane.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
The written decision that I previously entered is what I will stand on. I'm not going to address it any further.
Is that verified proof?
Sir, my written decision is the decision on subject matter jurisdiction.
Is it verified proof? Because it hasn't been proven on the record, and that was not verified proof.
I am denying the request by the defendant to verify subject matter jurisdiction.
It has to be proven for the record.
I disagree with you as a matter of law. The
Show
jury's
me-
coming
show me
out.
lawful law.
All right, for the jury.
Show me
This
my
has
lawful
never
law.
worked out for him. He still pushes this issue. But
Unless you make an tacit agreement that you don't have to prove subject matter jurisdiction on the record. by law.
Tacit
All right,
agreement.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It's about 3:37. I know you're all filing in, so I'll wait till you all get in.
No, not yet.
What did he say? He said like not
The
yet.
rest of you who are filing in after our short afternoon break, I just wanted to let everyone know I have let the parties know if need be. I'm willing to stay between 5:30 and 6 this evening. I know there's 2 witnesses for sure the state intends to call, and I intend to get through. It's kind of the timing and whether there's a 3rd witness tonight or not. I'll decide a little bit later, but at this point, the state may call its next witness, and the rest of you may be seated, of course.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Chris Johnson.
Chris
All right,
Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, if you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right. It is up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Okay, let me get
Do you
my
solemnly
notes.
swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. The first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
My name is Chris, C-H-R-I-S, Johnson, J-O-H-N-S-O-N.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm employed as the Chief of the Office of Crime Scene Response for the Division of Forensic Sciences, Wisconsin State Crime Laboratories.
What is your educational background and training briefly?
I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in molecular biology from Marquette University. I started my career approximately 16 years ago in the DNA analysis unit as a forensic scientist. As a forensic scientist, I went through an extensive training program to be a DNA analyst, and I've carried many positions since then.
And as chief of the crime response unit, what are your duties and responsibilities?
My duties are twofold. I have an administrative aspect and a technical aspect. The administrative aspect is to oversee and monitor all operations or all aspects of the crime scene response program operations. My technical aspects come into play when I receive calls from law enforcement to respond to scenes to provide technical assistance. My primary duty as the technical aspect is to preserve the integrity of the evidence at crime scenes. This is done through proper examination, recognition, documentation, and collection of physical items of evidence. Furthermore, another technical aspect I have is to write confidential reports of findings, and this basically summarizes any examinations and processing techniques that are used on scene and is a summary of the findings from those techniques. Lastly, I testify in court when needed.
I love the way that he broke all that down. He said it in a way, he said it very slowly and made sure that everyone in the jury understood literally every aspect of what he does. And I really appreciate that, because sometimes when people explain like their occupation and what it is they do, they kind of just give you the details and it's not much explanation there to it. I mean, of course, like you can always, what I do sometimes, I just look it up, but the way that he just slowly broke it down and he said it very plainly for everybody to understand, everyone in the jury, which by the way, Darrell's gonna have a little panic attack about that, the fact that he's gonna look at the jury and not him. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Is there a set procedure you follow when you are asked to respond to a crime scene?
Yes.
What is that, please?
Judge leading.
If law enforcement is at the scene and would like the crime lab crime scene response team to respond, they simply call the lab that's in their jurisdiction, and basically the call will get routed to me and I'll dispatch a team to the scene.
And on November 21 of 2021, Was the crime scene response unit asked to respond to an incident in the city of Waukesha, county of Waukesha, state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
What was the nature of the call?
The nature of the call was to respond to an address on Maple Street to begin processing a vehicle that was abandoned in the driveway of that residence.
Were you given any limited information as to the significance of the vehicle?
Yes, it was reported to me that the vehicle was more than likely involved in running through the Waukesha Christmas parade.
Were you aware that it was reported pedestrians had been struck during the event?
Yes, that was reported.
The objection is noted. I'll allow it as it is foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Now, when I think of a crime scene, I typically think of a place or a location. Does your unit also cover processing of a vehicle like this?
Yes, in this.
Overruled. You may answer.
In this particular circumstance or situation, the vehicle itself can be considered a crime scene in and of itself.
And in your years with the crime lab, do you have prior experience processing motor vehicles that were suspected to have been involved in fatal collisions with pedestrians?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, I've processed several vehicles related to that.
Okay. Did you personally respond to the address at 338 Maple?
Yes, I was one of two people responding.
Who else responded?
Julie Avila.
And does Julie work with you?
She does.
What's her task or primary responsibility?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
For this particular scene, I was what is called the team leader, so I'm in charge of all aspects of processing the scene. Julie was a crime scene response photographer, so she was tasked with appropriate documentation via photographs.
Okay. Do you recall about what time it was when you arrived on scene?
I arrived on scene approximately at 8:15 p.m. on 11/21/21.
And I'd like to show you a series of photographs, and I'm going to have multiple sets of photographs to go through with you. This is the first set, and the set contains 4 or 5 pictures.
All right.
So they're going to show up on your screen first, sir, and I'm going to ask you to identify these photographs, and then we'll work backwards and present them to the jury with the court's permission, okay?
Okay.
So first on the screen is Exhibit 67, which I believe is previously admitted.
67.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Objection.
Overruled.
Sir, do you recognize the objects depicted in State's Exhibit 67?
Yes, this is a overview showing the front end damage of the red Ford Escape that's parked in the driveway of 338 Maple Avenue.
Next, we're going to present to you Exhibit 93.
That's so weird. I don't have that one. Okay. I might go back off camera and get that.
What's depicted in 93, please?
This is a close-up showing the damage of the front end of the vehicle, the red Ford Escape that's parked in that driveway.
All right. I should have asked you this. Prior to the photographing of the vehicle, has it been moved or altered by you in any way, sir?
No.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
No.
Please put up for the witness number 68, which has been previously admitted.
Go ahead.
Objection.
Overruled.
Please describe, sir.
This is the photograph's taken at an angle, the front passenger side of the vehicle, but again showing the damage of the front end of the vehicle.
Number 102. You recognize that photo, sir?
I do.
Please describe.
This is
Objection.
Overruled.
This is a mid-range photograph of the driver front quarter panel, showing a side view of the damage of the hood and the quarter panel.
And number 103. Please describe.
This is a overall photograph of the back end of the red Ford Escape.
Do you believe these 5 photographs are true and accurate depictions of the way the vehicle looked on the driveway at 338 Maple that evening, sir?
Objection, leading.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get a hold of my witness list. Could you re-ask the question?
Yes, Your Honor. Do these 5 photographs truly and accurately depict the way the vehicle looked at 338 Maple Street on the evening of November 21.
Objection, leading.
Overruled foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Move to admit 67, well, 67 and 68 are already in. So move to admit 93, 102, 103, and permission to publish all 5.
Objection. Relevancy.
Noted. Overruled. The exhibits are received. Permission to publish granted. Specifically 67, 93, 68, 102, 103. I realize some may have been received previously, but to be thorough, I wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you.
Oh, and also, feel free to let me know if like the volume of this microphone or anything sounds a bit off, or if anything at all sounds off about it. You know, I'll definitely raise or lower the volume next time. This is my first time recording with it, so
all right.
just giving it a shot to see how it's going to act.
67 you testified was an overview photograph?
Yeah, it's an overall photograph of the...
Overruled. They're now being shown to the jury. It's proper. It's foundational as well. Go ahead.
Yes, this is a overall photograph showing the location of the vehicle, but specifically also showing the front end damage of the vehicle.
All right. Next, 93. Please describe.
A close-up.
Overruled. Go ahead.
A close-up of the damage that has been sustained on the front hood area, bumper area of the red Ford Escape.
Next is 68.
Objection.
Overruled.
Mid-range photograph showing the damage, front end damage, specifically from a reference point of the front passenger corner of the vehicle.
I observe on the bottom of that photograph
is so crazy.
There appears to be some liquid substance on the ground. Do you see that, sir?
Yes, I
Objection,
do.
leading.
Overruled foundational. The witness may answer.
Do you remember seeing that substance that night?
Yes.
Were you able to tell what it was?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. Based upon his training and experience, he may answer.
Not specifically what type of fluid it is, but some kind of engine compartment fluid.
From this vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Number 102, please.
Oh, there's
A
the headband.
mid-range of the driver front quarter panel, also showing what I describe as a white headband on the broken driver door mirror.
Is that illuminated in some fashion?
Objection,
Yes.
leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer. Just a reminder to wait until I fully rule on the objection before you answer.
I apologize. Yes.
How was it illuminated?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
It has white LEDs that are within the cloth and they're blinking on and off.
Okay. And then last would be 103.
Objection.
Please describe. Oh, I'm sorry, he objected.
Overruled. Go ahead.
An overall from the further into the driveway showing the back end, the rear end of the red Ford Escape.
All right. Now, after these photographs were collected on Maple Street, did there come a time where you planned to move the vehicle?
Yes. Part of the process in arriving at a scene, there are 3 steps. There's a scene approach, scene assessment, and a scene processing strategy. So the scene approach starts with the moment I receive a call and start thinking about what evidence might be present, just knowing the limited facts or the limited information that I have during the call. When I arrive on scene, I do a scene assessment. So I did a walkthrough of this particular vehicle, around it, and including the property. Determined from that what my processing strategy would be. So going back to answer the question, my thought and my processing strategy this particular night was to collect anything that would be fragile in nature off of the vehicle and then get it transported to a more environmentally friendly secured facility to continue processing in the subsequent days.
Was that for your comfort or for some scientific reason?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It was very cold that night, so it was difficult to process. It was very windy, but it was for a purely scientific standpoint of doing the necessary steps of collecting whatever I needed and I deemed fragile. Collect that stuff, and then let's get it into an enclosed trailer and transport to a secure facility that's nearby.
And something like this, I could see Darrell just asking him to expand on it, because it's very strange. Sometimes he just shows like genuine curiosity about the person's job and what it is they do, and it kind of takes things in like a completely different angle that's like not even related to the trial. So he did that with like the medical examiner. He did it last time with one of the members of law enforcement that's in charge of like inspecting the components of the vehicle. And so I'd imagine he's probably going to do something. He'll probably do that with him. He just for some reason does that. Like he has a curiosity, and that takes over his entire cross-exam. It's very strange, but.
So what items, if you recall, did you remove that you had deemed fragile?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
There were first some items that were in the yard of this particular residence, some examination gloves, and a winter hat that was in the backyard. So those items were collected. Of particular interest on the vehicle was the headband that was around the driver door mirror that was broken. So that was important to collect, because during transport that most likely would have fallen off. So that's what I'm talking about, fragile evidence.
Right.
So that item was removed?
Correct.
What about the front bumper? We saw that laying on the driveway. Was that secured in some fashion?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, to make transport easy, the bumper would have had to be lifted up with bungee cords and resecured. Otherwise, as the tow company is moving the vehicle, the bumper would just continue to go underneath the vehicle, further damaging or maybe even eliminating or getting rid of physical evidence that might be on that bumper.
So were you the person that secured that front bumper?
I was there and I assisted with the tow company.
Okay. Where'd you take it?
So it was taken from this residence and it was taken to Waukesha County Sheriff's Office secured facility.
Is that nearby here in Waukesha?
Yes.
Okay. Ask Madam Clerk if you could turn off the display, please, and I'm going to present to the witness only another series of photographs, starting with 105.
What is he doing?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Do you know how many?
He's doing like a silly
8.
little dance over there.
Sequential?
It's insane.
Yes, 105 through 112.
Thank you.
Objection. Relevancy.
Well, I haven't seen them yet, so I'll have to wait, but you can put them up and then I'll make a ruling.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be one of those days. Day 10, and I think a bunch of you told me in the comment section this one was going to be rough. It's disgusting because like he ran through a parade. And now he's sitting here as if he's bored and he just wants to go somewhere else. Like he's acting as if he has something to do in his little prison cell. Like, there's something there that he has to get back to very badly. It's just, okay.
I think we're ready on our end. We're just waiting for Madam Clerk.
Oh, sorry. I'll leave it alone. You hit it. We just nixed each other twice.
Please switch the camera off.
105.
All right.
There.
Given what I see on the screen, the objection is overruled.
Okay. And, Your Honor, for the sake of time, I'm just going to ask the witness to look through these photos just as if he had them in front of him, and then I'll ask some foundational questions. So 105 is on the screen. Do you see it, sir?
Yes.
Do you need more time to review that photo?
No.
106, please.
Yes.
Do you need more time to review that photo?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
107.
Yes.
Do you need more time?
No.
108.
Yes.
Do you need more time?
No.
109.
Yes.
Need more time?
No.
110.
Yes, I recognize, and I don't need more time.
111.
I recognize, and I don't need more time.
And 112.
I recognize that photo and don't need any more time.
Where were each of these photos taken?
Each of these photos were taken at that secure facility that where Waukesha County Sheriff's Office, their secured facility. This is indoors at that facility.
Okay. And do you believe each of these photos is a true and accurate representation of what the vehicle looked like once you towed it to the secure facility?
Yes.
A move for admission of 105 through 112 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection.
Noted. Exhibits 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, and 112 are all received. Permission to publish granted as to all.
And I'll go back and get those off camera, because those are a lot of exhibits, so. Yeah, when I edit, I'll just write them down.
So in this photograph, sir, is the, what's the condition of the front bumper, please?
Objection leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
The front bumper is secured in somewhat, should be its original position with those bungee cords that we previously talked about.
Okay. Next, 106, please. Please describe.
Overall photograph, the front driver's quarter panel, including showing the hood damage.
Jeez, look at this thing.
Was there an effort by you to try and match the pieces of the bumper to the frame of the body, or is that just the way it came together?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. Go ahead. You may answer.
At this time, I was not trying to physically match anything together. It was just for the purpose of securing it for transport.
Okay. What is the position of the driver's side window in this photograph, sir?
The window is down.
Is that the way you found it?
Yes.
Objection.
Overruled. The witness may answer. He responded to the scene where the vehicle was located and can testify based upon his knowledge.
107, please. Please describe.
An overall photograph from the point view of the front passenger side of the vehicle.
Next, 108.
Objection.
Overruled.
Please describe.
An overview of the front of the vehicle, including the front passenger quarter panel and the front passenger door.
What position was the front passenger window in?
Down.
Is that the way you found it?
Yes.
Okay. 109. Please describe.
An overall photograph of the passenger side of the vehicle, including in this photograph is the front quarter panel, the front passenger door, and the rear passenger door.
And along the front passenger door and the rear passenger door, do you see anything remarkable?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Spanning the length of both doors is quite a significant scratch.
Have you seen scratches like that before in processing motor vehicles, sir?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
I have.
What is that consistent with, please?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Coming into contact with another item.
Thank you. Number 110. Please describe.
An overall photograph showing the rear of the passenger side of the vehicle. Specifically noting that the rear passenger window, that window is not down, it was actually shattered.
Okay.
Broken. And also showing in this photograph are 2 apparent fired bullet defects.
Okay, I have some other photos more specific to that in a minute. Thank you. 111.
Objection.
Overruled.
Please describe.
An overall photograph from the vantage point of the rear passenger side of the vehicle.
And then 112, please.
Objection.
Overruled.
An overall of the vehicle from vantage point, rear driver side of the vehicle.
Is the rear driver's side window, what position is it in, please?
That is up.
And is that the way you found it?
Yes.
And it looks like there's a substance on the exterior of the vehicle on the driver's side. Do you see what I'm referring to, sir?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
Do you know what that item or substance was?
Oh no.
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. Based upon his training and experience and his personal observation of the vehicle, he may answer.
Not knowing what specific fluid that might be, I did do a presumptive test to see if it's possibly blood.
Okay.
All tests that I did of that liquid that's on the driver's side came back negative for the possible presence of blood.
And was it sprayed along the most of the driver's side of the vehicle?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'd like to move on, sir, and ask you, did you do an interior inspection of the vehicle?
Yes.
And an exterior inspection of the vehicle?
Correct.
I'd like to highlight some specific areas, starting with the interior of the vehicle. Would you have processed the entire passenger compartment and cargo space of this vehicle?
Yes.
And what types of things would you have been looking for, sir?
Based on my former experience, looking for surface types that might contain potential DNA evidence. So specifically, anything that's in the vehicle that would have been handled to control the vehicle or handled in a repetitive manner or with some kind of force. So for example, the steering wheel, the gear shifter, those items were swabbed by myself for the potential of DNA. We also looked at surfaces within the vehicle and processed those for the possible presence of latent fingerprints.
Do you remember locating an object on the front passenger seat of the vehicle?
Yes.
I'm going to ask that we display to the witness only Exhibit 117. Do you recognize what's shown in Exhibit 117, sir?
Yes, there's a hat that's on the front passenger seat cushion.
Is that the way the object looked when you found it?
Yes.
Move to admit 117, permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 117 is received. Permission to publish granted.
Could you please, it's a touch screen in front of you, circle the hat that you just described.
Is that a TV?
And then to your left, sir, on the witness stand, before you took the stand, I placed an item up there that's been marked as exhibit number 87. You see that on the table there?
Yes.
Can you identify exhibit 87?
Yes, this is the winter style hat that I collected from that front passenger seat.
Okay.
I wonder if they're going to ask him to hold it up. They might not. Oh,
I'd like
you can see it
to
there.
show another photograph to the witness, exhibit 118, please.
Objection.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Do you recognize the object in exhibit 118?
I do.
Do you believe this photo is a true and accurate representation of the object as you found it on the vehicle?
I do.
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. Your answer may stand again. Just wait till I rule on the objection, please.
Move to admit 118, permission to publish.
Exhibit 118 is received. Permission to publish granted.
Please describe.
This is a close-up photograph of the clothing items that were pinned to the windshield by the crumpled hood, and it was being held in place by that hood being pinning the items against the windshield, as well as that wiper arm.
Okay. Did you eventually remove these items?
Yes.
What did you find them to be?
It was a detachable hood from a jacket as well as a winter hat.
And can you just point out on the touch screen which is which?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
That's the hood portion, and that's the hat portion.
Okay, thank you.
He jammed it into the...
Did you find any U.S. mail or paperwork inside the vehicle?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
Were there any names associated with the U.S. mail or paperwork inside the vehicle?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
What was that name?
Darrell E. Brooks, Jr.
Was there an address, if you can recall?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It's very much relevant.
There was, but I don't exactly recall it.
Sure. Also on the table next to you, sir, is your report that I've marked as exhibit number 90. Do you see that?
Yes.
Wait.
Oh my gosh. What a pure
Go ahead,
clown.
Attorney Opper.
Just, who cares?
Objection. How did it get on the table?
Your objection
Someone
noted.
put
It's
it there.
overruled.
Oh my gosh.
The record will reflect that there's a copy of a crime lab report. It has an exhibit sticker, number 90, with the case number of this case. Handing it back to the witness. Go ahead, you may question the
How
witness
did it
regarding
get
it.
on the table? Who placed it on the table?
Attorney Opper indicated she placed it there.
When did that happen?
Attorney Opper, go ahead, continue.
Did you author this report, sir?
Yes, I did.
If you review the report, would you be able to see the address for Darrell Brooks that was noted in the paperwork from the inside of the SUV?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Please
Noted.
do.
Overruled.
Yes, I would.
Please do that, sir.
I love how he feels like that's a thing, like that's gonna completely turn everything in the direction he wants it to go, which is a mistrial. He's hoping that they walked up to the stand and already had the evidence placed there. That surely can't be legal. Why wouldn't it? Why is that not legal? These things make no sense. Only in his mind do these things make sense. And, you know, I don't have much knowledge of, like, the legal system or anything about a trial, you know, other than what I've learned from watching these videos. But the fact that that's a detail that he's caught up on, the fact that it's already placed on the stand, what is that supposed to... Okay, what? That's unfair? Because for some reason, I remember at one point he was upset that he can't approach the witness stand, but it's like, you're in jail. Why would you even want to do that? But
objection.
Very strange.
Overruled.
Grounds for the overrule.
The witness may answer.
Grounds for the overrule.
Go ahead, sir.
The address for the pieces of mail that I recovered was 4014 North 19th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53209.
Thank you.
Objection, that should be strike. When he asked the question, he said he didn't recall, so how can you force somebody to recall?
The witness's
that has to be the
recollection
dumbest
was
thing
refreshed
I've...
through the use of his report, which he indicated he documented the address. Your objections noted. It's overruled. The answer will stand. Go ahead. Next question, please.
This is literally something that he's done this before. Has he forgotten or something? Like, this is literally something that he has done in the past, where someone says they can't recall, and then he's like, hey, can you give them this document that I have so they can see if they remember now? And then they refresh their memory and they're like, okay, yeah, now I remember. It's so weird. Okay. All right.
Yes, and actually, if I could back up 1 minute and ask Ms. Gussie to put back up 117. Got to ask a question about 117.
Go ahead.
And if we could display it, please, Madam Clerk.
Nobody got to answer no questions.
Mr. Brooks, please refrain from interrupting. You'll have an opportunity to ask your
I have an
questions
objection
on
of how stuff got to the table without my knowledge. That should be known. That should at least be noted for the record.
It was
I wouldn't
noted
be able to do that.
Your objection's noted. It's overruled. Go ahead, Attorney Opry.
So that needs to stop happening.
In addition to the
All right, I'm going to excuse the jury.
This is it's ridiculous how he thinks this works.
Without, it should be a fair trial. That's my right. I shouldn't be able to do things without my knowledge.
So is this a matter of him being upset again that he...
That's fair. They deserve to know that too.
So is this a matter of him being upset that he can't approach the witness stand again? Is that basically another situation where he just wants to be able to walk up to people? It's just very weird.
The rest of you can have a seat as well. As soon as the jury's out, I'll make a record.
It's like he basically just flips a coin or something whether to be mad or not about a situation.
Right,
because
Mr.
this
Brooks,
is something he's done
we're
before.
well aware that the reason documents are being put on the
I don't consent to being
stand
called that name.
Are because this
No one cares.
court indicated it would limit the movement of the parties due to your custodial status to keep things fair.
And I
You are
merely asked, how did
attempting-
it get there?
Sir, do not
I'm not
interrupt me, or
I'm
you will
not
forfeit your
entitled
right
to
to be
know how it got
present
there?
in this courtroom.
So
Do
you're
not
holding me in
interrupt
contempt?
me.
Are you holding me in contempt?
Please kick him out. Please.
I'm going to make a record.
Are you holding me in contempt?
I'm not answering your questions.
So then you're not holding me in contempt.
Do not interrupt me again, or you will go to the other courtroom.
Under what lawful law?
All right, he's interrupted me once again. We're going to clear the courtroom.
Yes.
He's being disrespectful. I'll
Yes.
make a record once he moves. Unless you can promise me right now that you let me make my record.
No.
without interrupting me,
Kick him
sir.
out. He wants to
You gonna
go.
make your
Just
record? You can make your record.
Then please don't interrupt me.
Don't hold me in contempt.
I've never said any such thing.
Removing me from the courtroom, Your Honor, is essentially holding me in contempt.
All right. No, you're forfeiting your right to be present under Illinois versus Allen.
I didn't forfeit
I'm
anything.
going to start talking, and if he interrupts, then I will close this courtroom, and he will be taken to the next courtroom. Mr. Brooks, you are well aware that the court made some pretrial rulings related to whether there would be, they can stay in, I haven't closed it yet, he's not interrupting me, whether the parties could approach the witness stand. And I did that because you're in custody, and I'm not going to allow you to approach the witness stand while in custody.
right.
That is why various precautions have taken place to limit, frankly, that from happening. Throughout this trial, there was one instance at the very beginning of the case where I allowed the state to approach a witness. I corrected that. That hasn't happened since. We've had bailiffs take items up to the witness stand, or the items have been given to the witnesses, or they've been placed on the witness stand. That's proper. There is nothing wrong about that. Nobody's trying to pull a fast one over you. No one is doing something that's not permitted by this court, or frankly under the rules of decorum and courtesy or the presentation of evidence in this case.
And it's silly because he knows that that's what's going on here. He knows that there's nothing going on here. I mean, that none of this is just them like making up rules as they go along. I mean, everything that she's like, every rule that she's basically made in the courtroom has been to make this as fair as it possibly can, as split down the middle as she can possibly make it. You know, I mean, he is in custody, but you know, they word documents in a way to make it seem more fair for him. He still says it's unfair. She makes it to where the prosecution can't approach the witnesses because he can't approach them. He says it's unfair. And for some reason, he's upset right now. I'm guessing because he can't approach witnesses, which is like sick. Why do you want to go up to them? It's so strange. I don't know if it's because like Erica, I think you all told me Erica's coming back. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but maybe he wants to be able to walk up to Erica or something weird like that. I really don't know. You know, I try not to think too much in a way that he would. But yeah, we'll go ahead and...
Frankly, from my perspective, sir, your attempts and your comments are to try to dig in at this jury and to somehow create doubt about the presentation of this case or the fairness of these proceedings.
Right.
Without the party, meaning the state, having an opportunity to refute, explain, or correct it. I've taken the jury out at this point to admonish you that any further mumbling under your breath or not recognizing when I uphold or sustain an objection, that I will take as a disrupting interruption meant to disrupt the proceedings. I'm not holding you in contempt. I'm well aware that that's one of my options. I choose not to do it for the reasons that I've stated on the record previously. All right, you can forfeit your right to be present at any point in time during this trial by your conduct under Illinois versus Allen. When it is disruptive, when it does not follow the simple rules of courtesy and decorum, I draw your attention once again to SCR Chapter 62, which has been previously provided to you, which is under the statute there.
He definitely didn't read that.
Constant mumbling and interruptions during the proceedings. I haven't made a record of them today, but I will now. Started at 9:01, then there was 5 at 9:02, 3 at 9:03, 4 at 9:04, 1 at 9:05, sorry, 2 at 9:05, 1 at 9:06, 3 at 9:08, again at 9:17, 9:27, 10:31, 1:05, there was talking over by you at 2:03, 5 interruptions at 2:14.
This is humiliating.
2:15, 2:17.
But he's not humiliated.
2:19, audible muttering, 2:31, 2:33, what I would describe as inappropriate, like muttering under your breath, 2:35. At 3:06, there was a hilarious comment. At 3:11, there was what I would describe as arguing about the muttering. And
okay, sorry to pause in the middle of that, but this should honestly be so humiliating for him. But he just doesn't process that. Like, he doesn't feel that way about himself, which is, it's just weird. I mean, I keep saying that word, but it's like, it's no other way to really describe it. It's just very off. Like, this is humiliating for him. It should be humiliating to hear this about himself. Like, she's telling him how basically you're a grown man that's acting like a class clown right now in a trial where, like, you injured numerous people, you've killed people, and you're here right now acting like a spoiled brat. But I don't know. And the crazy part too, he's not even really listening to this. He's probably just waiting for her to be quiet so he can scream some more about how it's just not fair, which he can't even really say what's not fair for him. He just wants to be able to say it. So, yeah, but go ahead.
And the irony of it all, at 3:12, there were 4 interruptions. At 3:37, more 4:09, 4:10, more mumbling. At 4:11, twice, and at 4:12, 9 different times. So I think I've made an ample record of the disruptions today. I've been abundantly patient with you. Again, as I stated earlier, I've even limited how I tell these things to the jury about how to disregard, and I simply say the jury is to disregard comments and statements made by the parties or the lawyers, as those are not evidence.
Right, another example.
I'm warning you, do not interrupt again. If this jury comes back, or when they come back and you do that, then you will be removed and you will forfeit your right to be present for the examination of this witness. Let's bring the jury back in.
Well, you might as well remove me then, because what you're doing is
yes, please kick him out.
I can't even rebut what you're saying. I didn't interrupt you. I let you make your incorrect record.
That is
Mr. Brooks, I'm bringing the jury out and we're continuing. We're going to get through these witnesses.
And I'm not stopping you from doing that.
Through your behavior, you're not going to delay these proceedings today.
I'm not trying to delay the proceedings, so I wish you would stop being incorrect on the record and saying what I'm trying to do if you don't know that. You don't know what I'm trying to do.
We see straight through it, Darrell.
Then don't.
Exactly what you're
doing.
I'm
not arguing with you either. I'm stating facts.
You're raising your voice. It's
because I'm tired of you always making a record.
At me.
You're making a record of me trying to look bad. I know what you're trying to do. It's not going to work.
I'm making a record of what's accurately
You're making a record of incorrect statements. That's what you're doing. You're not making a record of not being able.
I'm advising you to be quiet because the jury's coming back.
Class clown is what you are, sir.
Is you telling me to be quiet?
I'm advising you to be respectful when the jury comes out.
Are you telling me to be quiet, or are you asking me?
She's telling you.
I'm asking you and advising you.
Okay, thank you for correcting that, because don't nobody tell me what to do. I don't tell nobody else what to do.
I'd appreciate
we're all
oh my gosh, this is so this is getting me so angry right now. I wish so badly. I wish so badly she would tell him, yes, I'm telling you. And if you don't want to listen, it doesn't matter. We can kick you out, and this entire process would be so much easier. You know, if she kicks him out, it would be so much easier. I wish she would tell him directly to his face, I'm telling you exactly what you're going to do, and if you don't do it, I don't really care either way. We're going to kick you out then, and just, you know, decide your fate without you. But little baby boy is throwing a tantrum. Oh man, hit play.
Adults in here, I've never told you to do anything at all.
Sir, I'd appreciate if your tone of voice would change.
I would appreciate it if you would ask me. I'm a grown man with grown kids. Ain't nobody gonna talk to me like that. Nobody.
I've reacted to this before. This is insane. I remember this part.
I don't have a problem with doing what you ask me to do, not tell me.
Ooh.
Just like when I asked you about subject matter jurisdiction that you have yet to prove on the record. But somehow I'm being intentionally disruptive. Come on, man. Stop. Just stop it.
Jury's coming out.
And this is why I say this should be humiliating. Nobody else is saying anything. He's the only one screaming at the top of his lungs. He's the only one standing here screaming at the top of his lungs, and nobody else is saying anything. In chains, but we're all supposed to be afraid. Okay. Ridiculous, man. Can we please move the camera over to somebody else as well?
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement continuance. examination.
And you see how he's attempting to stare her down as if this is gonna make her like do something as well. Nobody cares that you're staring. Is this all you can do? Prisoner, inmate, is this all that you could do right
Johnson,
now?
were there other items on the front passenger seat besides the blue winter hat?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I do recall a cell phone being present on that front passenger seat.
Do you remember what kind of cell phone?
An iPhone.
I also see some items that look like maybe headphones or charging cable, something like that. Do you see that,
Objection
sir?
leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer. The exhibits have previously been received.
Objection speculative.
Overruled.
I do see that.
Do you remember something like that on the front passenger seat?
Yes.
Okay. And how about on the floorboard of the front passenger seat? Is there an item there, sir?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
What do you remember that item was?
A TV.
Okay. And to the left of the
That's so
TV,
weird.
the white colored object?
I don't recall what that is.
Okay. But this is the exact way the passenger seat looked when you recovered the vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, if we could please go to Exhibit 116 and put up for
Still
the witness
staring.
only.
As if this is going to do anything. This is the silliest thing on earth right now.
Sir, do you see Exhibit 116
She could
in front
honestly
of you?
laugh in his face right now.
I
He
do.
still couldn't do anything.
Do you recognize this photograph?
I do.
Do you believe this to be a true and accurate depiction of the interior of the SUV?
Yes.
Move to admit 116, permission to publish.
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 116 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
What's in the photo of 116, please?
This is an overview of the rear
I don't have
passenger
my phone
seat.
to take notes. That's great.
That rear passenger compartment contained several clothing items and miscellaneous items.
Okay. And was the condition of the back seat like this when you found the vehicle, sir?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer based upon his knowledge of recovering the vehicle from the scene and his training and experience.
Yes.
Jeez, look at this back seat.
Now, for the witness only, I'm going to please ask Ms. Gussie to put up 113, 114, and 115 for his review.
Go ahead.
113 up?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize that item?
I do.
Okay. Next, 114. Do you recognize 114?
Yes.
And 115, do you recognize 115? There it is.
I do.
Okay. Do you believe these three photographs truly and accurately depict the vehicle, these areas of the vehicle, sir?
Yes.
Move to admit 113, 114, and 115, permission to publish.
Exhibits 113, 114, and
No objection.
115 are all received. Permission to publish granted.
Please. Oh.
Jury would let me know when the jury box monitors are on. All right, thank you very much.
All right. Please describe 113, sir.
That is an apparent fired bullet defect that's in the windshield of the Ford Escape.
Is that the rear view mirror on the left side of the picture?
Yes, this photograph would be from the inside looking through the windshield.
Were you able to tell the path of travel for the bullet?
Objection
Yes.
speculative.
Please describe.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes. The fired bullet that caused this defect most likely came through that rear passenger window that was shattered and entered the vehicle and then exited the vehicle through the windshield.
Man.
So that's a exit damage that we're seeing there.
Yes.
How can you be sure?
Windshields have laminated glass, and so the directionality of a fired bullet going through laminate glass, there's an indicative laminate tag, we call it. So that shows the direction of the fired bullet.
Okay. Number 114, please. Please describe.
That's an apparent fired bullet defect. I call this a striking defect. That's on the roof rail of the passenger side of the vehicle.
Okay. Why do you call it a striking defect?
It didn't penetrate any part of the vehicle. It was more of a glancing kind of ricochet.
Okay. And then number 115. And if you could zoom in on that back left. Yep, thank you. Please describe.
This is an apparent fired bullet defect. I call this a perforating defect because it actually went through the exterior door skin and went all the way through into the inside of the vehicle.
Wow.
Did you ever find the fired round in the vehicle?
Yes, I did recover a fired bullet and fired bullet fragment from the rear cargo area of the vehicle.
Okay. Was there any evidence that that bullet traveled any further than the cargo area of the SUV?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled based upon the witness's training and experience and examination of the vehicle. He may answer.
No, the bullet stayed in that rear cargo area.
Okay. Now, aside from examining the interior and the exterior of the vehicle at ground level, did you attempt to look underneath the vehicle?
Yes, the first processing strategy, if we go back to that, I wanted to get everything collected from all sides of the vehicle and inside of the vehicle before putting it on a vehicle lift to examine the undercarriage of the vehicle.
So you did do that?
Yes.
What kinds of things are you looking for on the undercarriage?
Looking for anything that shouldn't be normally present on the undercarriage of the vehicle. So I was looking for any hairs, fibers, any potential biological fluids such as blood.
Did you find any such objects?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
Yes, I did.
Did you collect those items?
Yes, I did.
You had described for us earlier swabbing of the steering wheel on the interior of the vehicle. Do you recall that?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
How do you go about swabbing a steering wheel, sir?
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Overruled. The witness may answer.
The best way to collect DNA evidence from a surface is to use a two-swab technique. The first swab is a swab that's slightly moistened with deionized water, and basically swabbing the surface and then following up that swab with a dry swab. So it's a two-swab process, a wet swab followed by a dry swab, and that becomes one item of evidence.
Same thing for the gear shift?
Yes.
What do you do with these swabs after you collect them?
I put them into the appropriate container and then seal that container, write my description of that particular item of evidence, and eventually that evidence is transferred to a unit at the crime laboratory for analysis. In this particular case, those items, anything for DNA, is going to be transferred to the DNA analysis unit.
Did that happen?
Yes, that did.
And how about the hat, States Exhibit 87? Did that get transferred to another unit for further analysis, to your knowledge?
Yes, so any clothing item that's...
Hold on. There was an objection. Grounds?
Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may continue answering.
Clothing items that are worn by individuals are a really good source of transfer of DNA. So yes, I collected that hat and it was transferred to the DNA analysis unit.
Your report Exhibit 90, did you believe that to be a true and accurate narration or summary, I should say, of your work in this case, sir?
Yes, I do.
Move to admit number 90, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 90 is received.
I don't have any other questions then, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh boy,
Thank you.
here we go.
Cross-exam, please.
Get the clown show going already.
You said you do DNA analysis, correct?
No, I did DNA analysis for nearly 10 years. I don't actually do DNA analysis anymore.
So at the time of the incident, were you doing DNA analysis?
No.
So who did the DNA analysis on all the items that were found during your investigation?
DNA analyst Trevor Nailed.
Did you see the results of those DNA
Are you sure you want to ask that?
Did you see the results of those DNA tests?
Yeah, let's find out who.
We did have conversations.
Let's find out who that was then.
Did you see him?
No.
I wish so badly he would.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know what those results were.
I didn't verify it. Like I said, we just had conversations.
I wish so badly he would have said, yeah, we actually swabbed it and the DNA came out to be, you know, it turned out it was you. So we found out that something like that. I was hoping it would be like a moment like that, but I get it.
So do you know the results of the DNA analysis?
He just said no.
In particular, is there a particular item?
For any of the items?
I don't recall the exact results, no.
And you made reference to the gunshot that you stated stayed in the rear cargo. Where in the rear cargo did you find that shell casing?
Objection, that's a misstatement. It wasn't a shell casing, Your Honor.
Shell casing, fragment, same thing.
Hold on, there's been an objection.
The dumbest guy. Oh my God.
I'll sustain the objection. It mischaracterizes the testimony and ask that you rephrase
Same
it.
thing.
Did you find a shell casing? A bullet fragment?
I found a fired bullet fragment.
Where did you find the fired bullet fragment?
It was really close proximity to where the rear latch comes down and hooks in to stay closed. So on the floor of the rear cargo by where the actual cargo door comes down.
And you said a latch that comes down?
Yeah, so how doors latch, like car doors latch, you know where the latch is? So where the rear cargo door came down and latched, it was in really close proximity on the horizontal surface of that rear cargo area.
Did you observe if the bullet fragment had struck anything?
It struck some items in that rear cargo area.
Do you recall what it struck?
I don't.
What was the point of asking that? This is why I say it's like he wants these items back or something. He's trying to find out if it messed something up that he wants back.
You made reference to a headband being on the rear view driver's side mirror, correct?
Correct, it was on the driver's door mirror.
And from your expertise, how would you, in your opinion, guess that it got there?
Oh boy.
By coming into contact with something or someone that was wearing it?
And do you know that for sure?
No, but based off of my experience of a lot of years of examination of physical items of evidence.
But it'd be fair to say that you don't know exactly.
No, I wasn't at the parade. I wasn't. No.
And you stated that you were present for the towing of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall at any time anyone's attempting to start the vehicle?
No.
And you stated that the bumper was, I guess, moved at some point so it wouldn't drag under the vehicle. I'm guessing that's what you said. If I'm wrong, you can...
No, that's correct. Yeah, we used bungee cords to secure it off the ground so that when we're moving it or putting it on the flatbed to go to the actual enclosed trailer, that it wouldn't be constantly going underneath the vehicle.
When towing the vehicle, what was it placed on?
Because of the amount of traffic or cars that were parked on the road, the towing company couldn't get the enclosed trailer right to the end of the driveway. So the vehicle was put onto a flatbed truck and then driven a few houses down, where then it was transferred to an enclosed trailer and then removed from the scene.
So with the bumper, being that it was first placed on a flatbed truck, as you say, at that time, what the bumper had, what problem would the bumper had caused if it wasn't going to be physically dragged or anything at that point?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
It's the dumbest
what kind of
question
problem
on
would
earth,
the bumper
to be honest.
pose if the vehicle was on a flatbed
It's
truck?
like in this one, I don't know if you all have noticed, the questions are getting gradually dumber. It's like day 10, he has really pulled some crazy ones out that I'm like, what? So they were just supposed to pick the vehicle up and just leave the bumper there? Like they have to connect it so they can take everything. But okay, all right.
The whole point
Essentially what I'm saying is, to give you more clarity, how could the bumper be dragged at that point?
it was being removed from the surface of the driveway onto the flatbed. So if the bumper weren't secured in an upright position, it would be pulled, and the bumper, as the vehicle is going this way, the bumper would be pulled underneath the vehicle.
So once it was secured on the flatbed truck, would the bumper still pose any problem?
The vehicle on the flatbed, the bumper was in a secured position.
If it wasn't bungee corded, would it have posed a problem?
Yes.
How so if it wasn't moving?
It wasn't connected.
The whole purpose was to secure the bumper in place to preserve any physical evidence that might have been on the bumper.
And do you recall who did the actual towing?
The company is Complete Towing and Recovery.
And you stated to wanting to get the vehicle to a environmentally friendly, secure location?
Yeah, a better term would be environmentally
I knew
controlled.
this was coming up.
What do you mean by environmentally controlled?
Proper lighting, outside of the elements, outside of view of the public, so an enclosed building.
What would be the purpose of that? I know this is coming.
Why the reference to outside of the public?
It's easier to do examinations in a controlled environment.
Would it be fair to say at that time, before it was towed, the vehicle had been secured, checked? That was done out in public. So what would be the difference at that point?
I cannot believe it.
I'm going to go back to my original statement of what my primary duty is. My primary duty is to preserve the integrity of the evidence. So that night, I was concerned with doing the necessary steps that I deemed relevant to collect, and then get that vehicle to a more suitable environment, just based off of how much more work and analysis and processing that vehicle would entail.
Fundamentally, I follow what you're saying fundamentally. The question, though, is, by the time you arrived to the scene where the vehicle was located, were you aware that the vehicle had essentially been already investigated?
No.
So you had no knowledge that the vehicle had been secured, had been pretty much
Two different types of
investigated by that point.
investigations.
Well, I was aware that the vehicle was in a secured state. I don't know what happened prior to that. There was very little information that I received on the initial phone call because of the hectic nature of everything. So I had an address, and I knew that the vehicle was being secured by law enforcement.
So law enforcement were present when you arrived to the scene.
Yes.
And at that time, you had learned did you learn any knowledge from the law enforcement other than what you were told during the phone call?
No.
Do you recall who you were called by?
I was called by Special Agent in Charge Dave Klabundy of the Division of Criminal Investigations.
Do you recall what time you arrived at the scene?
I arrived at approximately 8:15 p.m.
Do you recall what time the vehicle was found?
I don't recall.
Do you recall anyone telling you or mentioning what time the vehicle had been found?
I don't recall.
So it'd be fair to say before you arrived on the scene, you have no knowledge of what's been happening around the vehicle.
That's correct.
You said you made reference to a hat being found in the background. Do you remember saying that? Or in the backyard, rather. I'm sorry, not the background, the backyard, I meant to say.
Yes.
And at the time that you observed this hat in the backyard, do you, from your expert opinion, do you recall it having any relevance to the vehicle?
No, it was an item of evidence or a potential item of evidence that just seemed out of place. So in those types of situations, I always collect those types of items.
But you weren't sure at the time if it had any involvement with the actual vehicle?
No.
Was there anything significant that stood out about the hat?
Just the location.
Did you find any blood on the hat? Did you find, or is it just pretty much just a hat in the backyard?
I didn't do a thorough examination of the hat.
So as far as you were concerned, it was basically just taking in the evidence as a precautionary thing, or?
Yeah, it was an item that just seemed out of place, so I collected that hat.
Did you at any time obtain knowledge about the relevancy of that?
No.
Hey, I mean, he kind of just said it was out of place, so he took it.
All the photographs that you were shown, had you seen those photographs before today?
Yes.
Do you recall if they were taken the same night of your investigation or multiple nights or days, rather?
There were multiple days.
And do you recall why you had to, or do you recall why those photos had to be taken over a multiple day span?
Yes, the vehicle needed a comprehensive evaluation or processing, examination of pretty much every single side and surface of that vehicle.
And to do that, photograph-wise, would have took days?
Yes.
So when did you start actually doing an investigation of the items inside of the vehicle?
That would have been the 22nd, November 22nd.
So the next day.
There you go, Darrell. You're paying attention.
And so did you yourself do analysis of the outside of the vehicle?
Yes.
Same day, 22nd of November?
Yes.
So you kind of started the outside and the inside pretty much roughly at the same time?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's just.
Do you recall how long your complete investigation took?
Mine along with my colleagues?
Yours.
Mine. The examination itself of just me examining the vehicle?
Just you.
Probably over 40 hours. And that does not include the report, that I'm writing. It doesn't include the process of going through the report, everything. But my examination, at least 40.
And so I'm assuming you did the report after you completed the initial investigation part.
Yes, the report's a summary of my processing.
And define summary. What do you mean by summary?
It pulls everything together. It details my examinations and any findings I have from those examinations.
I always view summary as not every detail, but pretty much like
Darrell giving us his insight.
It's much as would be relevant, but not every single detail. Would that be fair to say?
This report is comprehensive in the terms of it lists every single item that was collected.
So why would you refer to it as a summary?
It's a summary of the examination and processing. That's the best way to describe it. It's not a dictation, in other words.
What do you mean by dictation?
There are other reports that other agencies may do that are dictated, right? I did this, then I did this, then I did this. This is a summary. This isn't a dictated report.
So what exactly did you summarize in your report?
My examination and processing strategies that I used, and the items of evidence collected, and any relevant findings associated with those examinations.
Uh-oh, Darrell's reading it for the first time.
Did you do any examination of the cell phones?
No, I collected those and transferred those to a detective with the Waukesha Police Department.
Do you recall who that detective was?
David, his last name is spelt, I believe, Foyen, Foyen.
So at the time that you turned the phones over, did you do any more work in regards to the phones?
No.
Do you recall doing any investigation on the airbag control module?
No, I don't do that.
Do you recall obtaining a search warrant to conduct an inspection on the ACM?
I'm sorry,
No.
I didn't understand you.
An inspection of what?
The ACM, I guess that would be the air control module. I'm guessing that's what that's
Thank you.
referencing.
No, since I don't do that type of analysis or examination, I didn't obtain any search warrant with that.
Okay, I'm guessing now, sorry to pause, but I'm guessing right now he's probably going to say, so why would you summarize this if you never actually did these things? Like, he's going to say something really dumb in a second. It's coming. Like, he's about to do it right now. But I'm just throwing that guess in there. All right.
Any reason why I would say that in the paperwork?
There it is. And I promise I've not seen this.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question. As to what paperwork you're referring to.
It's just so predictable at this point what he's gonna do.
I don't know what it will be called, but it says conclusion inspection summary. And the conclusion inspection or conclusion/inspection summary. Do you recall?
Is it from this witness?
Huh?
Is it from this witness?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't think that is from this witness, John. I don't see anything like that in this Exhibit 90. Are you perhaps still looking at Inspector Schultz's report from the State Patrol, the last witness?
What page number do you have? And I'll take it.
Absolute cartoon character.
This says page 5.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's looking at the last exhibit from Inspector Schultz, 83.
Well, it says Chief Christopher Johnson.
Oh, it does say that in 83. It says, if I can read for completeness, or you can, it says, upon arrival, I met with crime scene chief Christopher Johnson from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab.
No. That's not what I'm reading from.
Okay. Chief Johnson had obtained a search warrant to conduct the mechanical inspection and to image the data retained within the escape's airbag control module ACM.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that was written by Inspector Schultz, who just testified, not this witness. To clarify the record. Thank you.
Now what are we going to do, Darrell? What are you going to pivot to?
I apologize for that. It's all in the same paperwork with Chief Johnson, so maybe that's where the confusion comes in.
The record would reflect this witness. His last name is Johnson, so I think that's understandable.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was just
attorney.
reading what I have here.
Fair enough. Keep going.
Oh my goodness, man. That is just...
Do you recall at any time obtaining any type of search warrants pertaining to the vehicle in this incident?
Yes, I have obtained a copy of the search warrant.
And do you remember what that search warrant was for? What was the intended search?
To search the vehicle and process it for any biological fluids, hairs, fibers, any electronic equipment, any personally identifying information.
And the ACM would fall under the lines of the mechanical side of.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I was hoping he was going to... Because Darrell didn't even know how to say what he was trying to say right there. He was just saying on the mechanical side of... I was hoping so very badly that he was going to say, can you clarify? What are you... what are you getting at right now? What is... Could you be more specific? Oh, and also really quick, sorry to pause, but I wanted to ask, so somebody in the comment section, I'm sorry I should have wrote down your name, but somebody in the comment section had asked if anybody knows where the phone calls are between Darrell and his mother. Now, I heard about this, like, I think a while back. I don't remember how many days back in the trial, but somebody left a comment saying that Darrell had a conversation with his mom on, like, the jail phone where he asked, or not asked, but where he was saying, like, how he's going to try to disrupt the trial as much as possible. If anybody knows where we can actually listen to those, that'd be something that, you know, I would actually be okay with reacting to on the channel as well. I looked for them, I Googled them, and I looked across YouTube for it, but like I couldn't find anything about it. So if anybody knows where those calls are, please let me know. Or if you have like a link to it or something you could send over, that'd be great too. And thank you to whoever asked that in the comment section.
At any time during your inspection, did you observe anyone try to start the vehicle?
When I was with Investigator Schultz, when he came to my laboratory, he attempted to start it.
Make sure we're recording. All right.
And after you already stated that your initial part of your investigation before the report totaled 40 hours. And at that time, after you had completed your report, did you do any more investigating in regards to the vehicle?
After my report was complete?
Yeah, after you had done the 40 hours that you stated with, and then the actual report.
No. Once my report's done, I didn't do any further examination of the vehicle.
And after that was completed, had you received any follow-up from law enforcement after you had completed everything?
No.
Had you yourself followed up with law enforcement about the investigation after you completed your initial part?
No.
You yourself didn't file any claims in this matter, did you?
No.
Do you know of anyone who filed any claims in this matter?
I don't.
Looks like we're close to the end now.
And do you recall who you were subpoenaed by to testify?
I was subpoenaed by District Attorney Sue Hopper.
Do you recall when that was?
I believe it was sometime, I don't exactly recall when.
And did you follow up on that subpoena?
No.
After you had received it?
No.
Have you at any time seen or read any complaints in regards to this incident?
No.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter?
The state of Wisconsin?
And
would you label that as a person, an actual human? Grounds.
Sustained, not relevant.
You ever actually seen the plaintiff in this matter? Grounds.
Sustained.
If you saw the plaintiff, would you be able to identify the plaintiff?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained pursuant to 90611. Sir, please move on to a different line of questioning.
Yes, we got a 90611 already.
Just trying to establish who the plaintiff is, Your Honor. Do you see the plaintiff present in court today?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
Would you consider yourself to be an injured party in this matter?
No.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just very briefly. Mr. Johnson, you said when you arrived on Maple Street there were police officers present,
That's correct.
and you said the vehicle was secure at that point.
Correct.
Objection.
What do you mean?
Leading.
The answer may stand. Next question. Overruled.
What do you mean by that, sir?
The perimeter was secured with crime scene tape, and there were officers that were standing at the location where the vehicle was.
Would it have been possible for a member of the public or any curious person to just walk up and touch the vehicle or do anything to the vehicle?
Objection. Speculative.
Based upon his training and experience, he may answer. Overruled.
They would have been stopped by law enforcement.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down. While he's stepping down, if my jurors and anyone else in the courtroom want to stand, I do want to get through one more witness tonight.
And then the exhibits that Mr. Johnson has, Your Honor, what would you like done with those?
I'll take them.
All right.
Okay, and I'm actually glad that they asked that because it seemed like Darrell was trying to, in the cross-exam, it seemed like he was kind of trying to hint at somehow like people being able to go up to the vehicle and kind of tamper with things. So I'm glad that she mentioned that as well, because you know he would definitely try to use that to say that someone, especially with the headband, which is something I didn't even think about. I was sitting here and I was trying to figure out, like, does he think the headband just like teleported onto the mirror? But I'm thinking now that that's basically what he was trying to say, that somebody came up to it and just put it onto the mirror, and that's why it was there. But yeah, that was a good thing for them to ask.
I have 90.
For the prosecution to ask.
87.
Yes.
What was 87?
87 is a hat.
I'm not not sure if I did move that, but I would move that into evidence, so we will need that item for the next witness, please.
Oh, okay, I'll put that back.
Thank you.
Objection to that.
Noted.
Before you showed me that, I didn't even see what that was. If you would have never
show it to
told,
you again.
I know, but if you never would have told me, I never would have even know what that was, because I didn't see it till you just moved it.
Whose fault is
I
that?
didn't understand, but here it is. It's exhibit marked as exhibit 87. Go ahead and say state has moved it into evidence. I believe there's an objection. It's
Yes,
noted,
there is an objection.
overruled based upon the testimony of the prior witness. It is received. And who do we have coming up to the stand?
Your Honor, the state next calls Trevor Naled, and for the record, he was handed a copy of Exhibit 91 on his way to the witness stand.
Thank you. Thank you for putting that on the record. I'm going to grab my phone really quick so I can take notes, so hold on one second.
What is 91? I know you're going to get to it, but...
91 is Mr. Naled's report, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Then, all right, good. I guess evening, sir. The first thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each, please.
Sure. My name is Trevor Naled, TREVORNALEID.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. Sir, where do you work?
I am employed by the Wisconsin Department of Justice at the State Crime Laboratory in Madison.
And what is your position there?
I'm a senior forensic scientist in the DNA analysis unit.
How long have you worked there?
11 and a half years.
Could you please describe the work you do there?
Sure. I examine evidence for the presence of biological fluids such as blood, semen, and saliva, and then attempt to extract the DNA from those items. From there, I will make comparisons to standards from known individuals in the case.
And what's your educational background, please?
I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse in biochemistry and a master's degree from the University of Florida in forensic DNA and serology.
Do you have any training specific for your position at the Wisconsin State Crime Lab?
I do, yes.
Please describe that for the jury.
I underwent approximately a one-year-long internal training program that included the screening techniques we use, presumptive and confirmatory tests for blood, semen, and saliva. Excuse me. From there, I learned the extraction techniques, quantitation, amplification, and typing methods that our lab uses. From there, I learned data interpretation as well as statistical analysis.
So, okay. I feel like at this point we're going to get into the actual DNA analysis. I don't know if you all remember, but at one point when they arrested Darrell, they did like swabs of his mouth. So I'm curious to find out if that's what's about to happen right now. I'm pretty sure it is, but I guess I'll unpause and we'll just...
Did you do any casework while you were in training?
Mock cases.
Okay.
I completed two competency tests, 2 mock cases, a mock court, and then after completing those, I completed an extensive written exam as well as statistical tests.
Did you actually work with DNA samples, processing and analyze DNA samples during your training?
I did, yes.
About how many times?
About 175 samples.
Is the Wisconsin State Crime Lab accredited?
Yes, it is.
What does that mean?
Our lab's accredited under the ISO 17025-2017. Essentially, it's just a voluntary program that any lab can enter to show that it meets established standards. They control our proficiency testing that's done twice a year.
Am I the only one surprised Darrell's
Do you personally
not?
have any certification or accreditation personally?
No, just the lab accreditation.
Just the lab, okay.
I'm surprised he's not objecting.
How many forensic DNA cases have you worked?
Just over 500.
Wow.
And about how many DNA samples have you processed?
Over 2,000.
Overruled.
There he
What is
is.
my answer? I'm sorry. Will you repeat your answer?
Over 2,000.
Have you previously testified in court before?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled, the witness may answer. As a reminder, there may be objections. Please wait until I rule on those objections until you answer. Go ahead, you may answer.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you a little bit further about DNA analysis and how that works, okay?
Sure.
What is DNA? We hear a lot about it. What is it?
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's essentially the genetic blueprint that makes us what we are. It codes for us to have 2 legs, 2 arms, hair color, eye color, etc.
And where's DNA found in the human body?
Objection leading.
Overruled, foundational. The witness may answer.
DNA is found in the nucleus of a cell.
Is it the same in every cell throughout the body?
In every cell that has a nucleus, yes, such as white blood cells and skin cells.
And is that important in your analysis?
Objection leading.
Overruled, foundational. You may answer.
Yes, it is.
Why?
Objection leading.
Overruled. Go ahead.
He's objection happy
It's
now.
important because we can take samples, evidentiary samples that may be from blood or saliva, and compare them with known standards, which are typically buccal swabs, which are swabs from the inside of the cheek, or dried blood standards.
Oh, yep. Here we go.
Does each individual have unique DNA?
Everybody except identical twins is unique.
Okay. Are you familiar with something known as STR analysis?
Objection leading.
Overruled, foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, I am.
What is STR analysis, please?
STR stands for short tandem repeat analysis. Over 99% of DNA is the same from person to person. So we're looking at that 1% that varies from individual to individual. Short tandem repeats are very small sequences of DNA that repeat over and over. So at one location, I may have 12 of these repeats, where another individual may have 14.
Is that distinction important?
Yes.
I'm going to actually take notes on this.
We can type standards from anybody associated with the case and make comparisons from the evidentiary profile to the standards to either include or exclude individuals.
All right. I'd like to direct your attention to Exhibit 91. Do you have that item in front of you, sir?
Yes, I do.
What is 91, please?
91 is my confidential report of laboratory findings dated April 29th, 2022.
And do you know if it relates to events occurring in the city of Waukesha on November 21 of 21?
Objection leading.
Overruled, foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Were you given some items to process for DNA analysis?
I was, yes.
Were you given DNA standards to compare any profiles that you may develop from the evidence to known individuals in the case?
Oh,
Yes,
boy.
it was.
Do you remember who you got standards from?
I do.
Darrell, you better
Are you able to
object.
name them, or if you need to refer to your report, you may, but just let us know.
Okay. Can I read off the report?
You may read off your report. What page are you reading from, sir?
I will be reading page 2.
Okay.
I'm surprised
Go ahead.
he's not aggressively objecting right now.
Overruled, the witness may do so.
I received buccal swabs, so cheek swabs, from Erica Patterson as well as Darrell Brooks. I received dried blood standards from Wilhelm Hospital, Tamara Durand, Jane Kulick, Leanna Owen, Virginia Sorensen, and Jackson Sparks.
Is there a difference between those two, the method in which they were submitted, the buccal swab versus the dried blood standard?
Objection leading.
Overruled, foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes,
Are you able to do the same thing with them?
I am, yes.
And what is that?
Just extracting the DNA off them to essentially put a profile to the individual.
Okay. And how do you use those profiles that you develop from the known standards?
We compare them to the evidentiary profiles that we develop.
All right. Now, you processed many items related to this case. Is that correct, sir?
Objection leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to direct your attention to just a few select items for my purposes, okay? On page 7 of your report, Exhibit 91, you have reported on analysis you were able to perform on some swabs from the steering wheel of the vehicle in question. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
And the swabs were obtained by another member of the crime lab, is that right?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
That's correct.
How did they get to you?
They were collected by analyst Chris, our chief now, Chris Johnson in Milwaukee, and they were mailed over to the Madison lab.
Okay. Were you able to develop any DNA profiles from the swabs of the steering wheel in this case?
Yes, I was.
Uh-oh.
What were your findings?
Oh, boy.
It was a 2-person mixture with at least 1 male.
Can you explain for the jury what that means, please?
We can look at a profile, and based on how many peaks there are at different locations, each person will have a maximum of 2. So if you have 3 peaks at a location, you know that you have more than 1 person there. And so in this case, we were able to say that it was a 2-person mixture.
Were you able to identify who those 2 people would be?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer based upon training, experience, and investigation and analysis in this case.
Yes.
How did you do that, sir?
I ran it through this program called StarMix.
Is that a computer program?
Yes, it is.
What is that, please?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
StarMix is a mixture deconvolution software that we use. Previously, it was pretty difficult to distinguish different contributors in mixtures, and now we have this software that's actually a 2-part program to do that.
So we know now what Darrell is going to attack when it comes to this cross-exam. He's going to attack the software that he used to basically find out that it was him. But now I'm really interested to see what he's going to say during the cross-exam. It's probably going to be something along the lines of, well, you didn't see me physically swab my mouth, did you, when I gave you those swabs? So how can you really say that, even though that makes no sense, the DNA on the swab was his, but somehow he didn't provide it? Or he'll say, how do you know I gave my consent to give you those swabs? It's going to be something really weird. But I'm interested to see that part. But yeah, I forgot the main point of what I was saying. I'm sorry.
How does it work?
Just let it play.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
The first part takes inputs by the analyst, such as number of contributors. So we'll look at the profile and determine that. But it also looks at the total amount of DNA amplified and essentially makes its own profile for comparison purposes. It will then compare it to the actual profile and determine if it's a good enough match. It will then generate another completely random profile, and if it's better and a better match, it will accept it. If it's not, it will deny it. And it will keep doing the accept over and over hundreds of thousands of times until it has a profile that is a very, very good match to the theoretical profile.
Safe to say a human being will be very challenged to do the same analysis.
It would take a very long time, yes.
Okay. And the software that you use, the StarMix or STRMix, is that used in other labs around the country, sir?
Objection, speculative. I don't know it's used around the country.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it is.
Is it a reliable method of performing DNA analysis, in your opinion, sir?
Yes, it is.
Has it been accepted in courts and other cases?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it has.
More than once?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
Do you know about how many times StarMix has been used in Wisconsin courts?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Since we brought it online in January of 2020, it's been accepted over 100 times in the state of Wisconsin.
Did you have to receive some specific training in how to utilize this software?
Yes, I did.
And did you complete the courses?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you use StarMix to analyze the DNA profile, this two-person mixture from the steering wheel of the Ford Escape?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
What conclusion did you draw?
Based on it being a two-person mixture, Erica Patterson and Darrell Brooks are both very strong support for inclusion. They're both greater, or it's at least 1 quadrillion times more likely to observe the DNA profile if it's a mixture resulting from them plus an unknown over 2 unknowns.
So the odds of it being Mr. Brooks' DNA versus some other random person in the world are very, very rare, correct?
Objection, leading, and I don't consent to being called that name.
The objection is noted. I'll sustain the objection as to the form of the question. Just ask that you rephrase.
Can you explain for us what you mean by very strong support for inclusion?
Yeah, we have a verbal qualifier based off of the validation that the company, the StarMix creators, as well as an internal validation have come up with. And the highest number we'll report is greater than 1 quadrillion. So this is higher than the number than, or we're reporting greater than 1 quadrillion, but the number is actually higher than that.
Okay. I'd like to move on then to the gear shift. Did you receive swabs from the gear shift of the red SUV?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to develop a DNA profile from the swab from the gear shift?
Yes, I was.
What did you find?
That was a 3-person mixture, also with at least 1 male.
I'm sorry, you trailed off at the end. A 3-person mixture, what?
With at least 1 male contributor.
Okay. Were you able to do any further analysis on that DNA profile?
I ran that through StarMix as well.
And what conclusion did you reach?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
The same as the steering wheel. So Erica Patterson and Darrell Brooks are both very strong support for inclusion.
Meaning that their DNA is on that gear shift.
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Please, again, state in layman's terms for the jury what that means, sir.
Both Erica Patterson and Darrell Brooks, there's at least 1 quadrillion times more likely that it's the mixture of, it's at least 1 quadrillion times more likely to observe the DNA profile if it's a mixture from H1, meaning the person of interest, and 2 unknowns versus 3 unknowns.
The person of interest being Darrell Brooks?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name and just leading the witness.
Overruled. Noted, but overruled. You may answer.
We run StarMix for the profile itself, and then each individual standard is run. So each person will have its own individual stat. So in this case, both Erica and Darrell are greater than 1 times 10 to the 15th, which is our 1 quadrillion.
All right, thank you. Sir, up on the table to your left, there's an item in a bag that's been marked as exhibit number 87. You see that? Yes, could you pull that down and take a look at that for me, please?
It's supposed to be there.
Do you recognize exhibit number 87?
I do, yes.
And is that an item that you worked on?
Yes, it is.
Were you able to develop a DNA profile from exhibit 87?
Yes, I was.
What did you find?
That was a 2-person mixture with at least 1 male contributor.
And were you able to analyze that further using StarMix?
I was.
What conclusions did you reach?
Erica Patterson has very strong support for exclusion. Darrell Brooks has strong support for exclusion. Wilhelm Hospital has very strong support for inclusion. He is above that 1 quadrillion threshold that we have.
Okay.
So wait, I'm kind of confused by that part. Let me play that over again,
Wilhelm Hospital has very strong support for inclusion. He is above that 1 quadrillion
Wilhelm
threshold
Hospital.
that we have.
Okay.
I can't remember who that is. Yeah, I can't remember who that is. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments.
Madam Clerk, if you still have the exhibit handy. If not, we can just talk about it. I'm looking for the sweatshirt that was item number 84. Exhibit 84? It is? Okay. Judge, would you please hand that to the witness?
Yes, the record here, collector, I'm handing exhibit number 84 to the witness. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You know Darrell is going to freak out.
Exhibit number? That.
The hat is 87 and the sweatshirt is 84.
Sir, do you recognize item number 84, or exhibit number 84, I should say?
I do.
Is that an item that you processed?
Yes, it is.
Were you able to develop a DNA profile from exhibit 84?
Yes, I was.
What did you find?
I first looked at this. Typically, we'll swab, if we're trying to find the wear of an item, areas that skin contacts. So on shirts, a lot of times we'll swab the back of the neck area or the cufflinks. So I swabbed both of those. There was a reddish brown stain on the right sleeve that tested presumptive positive for blood. So I took that, a cutting of that. And then there were 5 hairs. There were more than 5 hairs, but I took 5 hairs that looked like they had roots on them for extraction.
Okay. And were you able to develop any DNA profiles from any of those swabbings or hairs?
Yes, I was.
Which? Let's start with swabs.
Okay. The swabbing of the collar of the sweatshirt was a 3-person mixture with at least 1 male.
How about the cuffs of the sweatshirt?
The cuffs were also a 3-person mixture with 1 male.
And how about the stain on the right cuff?
That was a 2-person mixture with at least 1 male.
Okay. Going back to the collar, the swab of the collar, did you use StarMix software to rule in or out the possibility of Mr. Brooks being included in that profile?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name. Is leading the witness.
Noted, overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
What was your finding?
Mr. Brooks has very strong support for inclusion. He's above that 1 quadrillion threshold.
Okay. How about the cuffs on the sweatshirt? What was your finding and ultimate conclusion as to Mr. Brooks' likelihood of DNA in that mix?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name. Leading the witness.
Noted, overruled, the witness may answer.
That 3-person mixture with at least 1 male, same thing. Darrell Brooks was very strong support for inclusion, greater than 1 quadrillion times.
And the last item you said was a stain on the right cuff of the sweatshirt?
Correct.
Did you reach any ultimate conclusion as it relates to that item?
That was a 2-person mixture with at least 1 male contributor.
And what was your conclusion?
Both Erica Patterson and Darrell Brooks are very strong support for inclusion.
You said that substance was a presumptive positive for blood?
Correct.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
That's correct.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions at this time, but I would move Exhibit 91 into evidence, his report, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'll take Exhibit 91 is received. Any reason to keep the exhibits to the witness?
Can I see that last exhibit? I'm thinking
91?
of the 87 with the sweatshirt.
You want me to hold it up? Or
Yeah. Is that 87?
That is 84.
84?
This hat that I'm holding up is 87. And then he has 91, which is his report, I'll keep that in front of him for now, or he can keep that in front of him for now.
There's so many things that he does I'm glad the jury sees, such as this. He doesn't even know the actual exhibits. He had to ask the judge to hold it up for him. But okay, I have no idea what he's going to ask this guy. I can't even think of something that he could possibly ask him that's not going to make it more, this just not going to make it worse for himself. He's going to ask something really stupid. Like, what does that actually mean about, like, so who did you find again? Can you say it one more time for it? Like, he's going to ask something really, really stupid here, but let's go ahead and get the clown show started.
These DNA analysis with star mix, I'm a little curious to get clarification on what does it mean when you say mixture. What exactly does that mean?
A mixture just means that it is more than one person present in the profile.
So by it being more than one person present in the profile, would it be fair to say that that would constitute it being more than one person?
Yes.
Very good, Darrell. Checkmate as usual.
The gear shift had a 3-person mixture, so would that apply to the gear shift the same, that it would likelihood there's 3 different people's DNA on the gear shift?
That's correct.
And for the steering wheel, a 2-person mixture, so that would be 2 people for DNA for the steering wheel?
Correct.
How funny would it be if he just says no further questions right after that? Because what can you ask right now that's not going to make this worse? There are just some people he shouldn't give a cross-exam to. He should just pass it up altogether.
Do you recall when you did this DNA analyzation, rather? I'm sorry.
On any specific item, or all of them?
Do you recall when you did all the items, I guess?
So most of the items were collected in November. They were not transferred to the Madison lab until the end of January. So I started, I believe January 31st was the first day that I started analysis. And then my report was written April 29th.
So you started the analysis at the end of January?
Correct.
And you did your report in April. Why so long?
I generated 583 pages and my report's 15 pages long, so that takes a little bit of time.
So you broke down the 583 pages into 15?
Correct.
To the best of your knowledge, do you know why it took from November to January for you to actually get the items that you were going to analyze for DNA?
Other than me picking up the case then, not really, no, I don't know.
Do you know where the items were kept prior to you receiving them?
Yes.
Can you state for the jury and for the record?
Our evidence technicians, when they came to the Madison lab, put them into storage where all evidence is stored.
Were the items sealed like they are now?
Yes.
And so I'm assuming you had to unseal them, get them out of the sealing packages to do the analyzation. Would that be fair to say?
That's correct, yes.
And did you yourself alone do the analyzation? Or did you have other people that you worked with?
I did all of the DNA myself.
Did you repackage the items after you were done yourself?
Yes, I did.
And did you return them back to where you had received them from, or did you keep them at your, I think you said the Madison lab?
I'm based out of the Madison lab, yes. Typically, when we're done with evidence, we will return them to our evidence technicians, who will then put them back into storage. When the case is done, the evidence is then returned to the submitting agency.
And here comes the, well, he might do this or he might not. But I have a feeling he's probably going to say something like, well, how do we know for sure that you're telling the truth right now? You're the only one that did this, and we just have to take your word for it. Sorry, I don't know if I bumped the microphone, but yeah, I have a feeling that's what he's getting at, but he may directly say it or he may not. Sometimes he pulls back on things, and it's honestly surprising the things he will pull back on and what he won't. Like, you can't really predict it.
So the items are still at your lab, is from your knowledge?
Now?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I asked that, let me give you some clarity. I asked that because you said at the completion of the case, they would be returned to the agency that you received them from. So I was kind of trying to get clarity on that.
Darrell, no one cares.
So do you know if they were returned to the agency you received them from already?
I believe they were.
So it'd be fair to say in this situation, the items weren't continued to be stored at the Madison lab.
That's correct.
A lot of these DNA analysis, I noticed that specifically the DNA was analyzed for 8 people. Would that be fair to say?
Sounds right, yes.
And specifically referring to the analysis that had 3-person mixtures and things of that nature, what happens to the 3rd-person mixture that is excluded? Is it any way? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, I guess I'm referring to when someone is excluded, which I interpret as ruled out, there's still that mystery 3rd mixture. Can that 3rd mixture be identified in some way, or how does that work?
I'm sorry. Yes, we would need a standard submitted from another person who they believe could possibly be the source of that DNA.
So would it be fair to say for the analysis that you did that had 3-person mixtures, there's still a DNA that you found that's unknown?
That's correct.
I wonder if that would be his mom's or something, because it is her vehicle, so maybe that would be her.
Can you explain what is CODIS? Is that pronounced right? CODIS or Kodak?
Yes, it is.
Can you explain what CODIS is?
CODIS stands for the Combined DNA Index System, and it is a database of known individuals.
And when you find that a DNA, I'm guessing, I don't know if the right word to use would be sample, or I don't know if that's correct. When you come to the conclusion that a DNA sample is not eligible for entry into CODIS, what exactly does that mean?
There are certain rules that we must abide by for putting profiles into CODIS, depending on where it's collected from. Pretty much determines the eligibility on whether or not we can put it in.
Darrell, in this cross-exam, you don't understand most of the terms here. There's no point in continuing with this.
One of your analysis had a 4-person mixture. Were you able to determine out of the 8 DNAs that you ran, if any of those DNAs were found on that specific item?
Your Honor, I object that it's vague. I'm not sure which item he's referring to.
I'm referring to, it says brim of maroon winter style hat.
What page are you on, please, sir?
6.
All right, so you want directing the witness to page 6?
Yes.
That particular item?
Yes, that's where I'm reading from, yes.
Okay, thank you. Did you ask the question?
Yeah, I said this one in particular, the one I'm referring to, has a 4-person mixture. Did your analysis identify any one of those 4 people out of the 8 DNA samples that you were analyzing?
Oh, I was hoping he was going to say, yeah, one of them was Darrell Brooks. I don't know if that's important. If you wanted to hear that, you know. Hear him ask to strike it from the record or something.
Would it be fair to say pretty much all the items that you did analysis on, there were at minimum 2 or 3 person mixtures?
No.
And why would you say that?
Typically in our reports, we lump the star mix samples together. If you look before that, it will have items that were single source profiles.
That's why I said the majority, or if not all. I didn't say every single one.
I wouldn't say the majority, no.
The narcissism is really taking hold in this one, in this cross-exam right here.
Certainly looks that way.
He's telling him about his actual he doesn't even understand the terms, and he's telling him what it is that his report contains. Stay in the Fisher-Price attorney lane, please. Don't try to step over to DNA analysis.
Is it autosomal? How do you say that word?
Autosomal.
Autosomal. STR DNA results and conclusions. That starts on page 5. Would that be fair to say?
That's correct, yes.
And ends on page 13. Would that be fair to say?
That's correct, yes.
Would it be fair to say that page 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, and 6, out of all those pages, only 3 have single source, and all the rest of them have at least 2 or 3 mixtures. Would that be fair to say?
No.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And can you point out where the inaccuracy may be?
Sure.
In case I'm not being accurate?
Yeah, on page 6, the first profile that you're looking at, cuttings of the apparent hair from the gas tank strap, that's a single source profile.
That's 1.
The next line, the cutting of the unlit end of the blunt is 1.
2.
Cuttings of the apparent roots from the hairs, which is CC4, CC5, and CC8. So that's 3 items right there.
So you're looking at the actual heading?
That's correct.
And is that it from?
On that page, yes.
Any other pages?
Which direction, Mr. Brooks? Forward or backwards?
I don't consent to being called that name. We're going from page 6.
In the cross exam, what is this? He wants to.
Are you asking single source profiles?
To page 7. From page 7, do you see any single source? Or yes, I guess it would be called single source.
No. From page 6 to 13, as you previously stated, those are my star mix ones. So each one of those is going to be a mixture profile.
So the majority of them have mixture of persons.
From those pages, yes, but there are many single source profiles before the star mix conclusions.
Would it be fair to say you could have just said that? I'm really surprised he didn't say that right now. I feel like he feels threatened at the fact that I feel like he feels threatened right now. He just wants him to admit so badly that he was wrong, or that, like, oh, you know what, Darrell? Yeah, you actually got me. I was wrong about this analysis. Actually, it's just one person, or whatever he was trying to say. It's actually all multiple people. He just wants to hear him say it. He's got that no further questions look. Hold on. He's stacking papers. Oh, no, he's reading. And he's marking stuff out. Yeah, he's got a couple more.
Do you recall who you turned your report over to once you finished your report?
For technical review?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
For technical review?
I'm referring to once you had finished your written report. Do you recall who you turned that over to?
Yes.
You stated for the jury and for the record?
Kelly Gajewski was my tech reviewer.
Could you just spell that last name for the record?
It's Gajewski, Gajewski.
Thank you.
And do you know what happened to the written report from that point?
After she reviews it, sent it back for edits, and then I fixed those. It was approved by her. Then it goes to a supervisor for an administrative review.
Fix the edits? What do you mean by fix the edits?
If there's any typos or anything like that, it'll come back. Or if I forgot to initial a page or something like that, I'll fix those and then send it back to her for approval.
Working with law enforcement, which you've stated you've done numerous times. And in regards to written reports, to your knowledge, are you aware of officers taking a creative writing course?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained. That's the fourth question.
Have you yourself ever taken a creative writing course?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained. Not relevant. Next question.
Have you or anyone you know filed a complaint in this matter?
No.
Would you consider yourself an injured party in this matter?
No.
All right, we're wrapping up now. Thank God. Thank God we're wrapping up. Hopefully it's wrapping up.
Ever directly talk to the plaintiff in this matter?
I don't know how I would talk to the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, no, that's what he wants to hear.
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
I do not know how I would talk to the state of Wisconsin. It's entity,
not a person, right?
That's all Darrell wanted to hear. He feels like he has a friend right now. You heard that? He's like, oh, so you get it. You understand me. We're on the same page.
No further questions?
There you go. That's all he wanted to hear.
Yes. Sir, on page 6 of your report, you were identifying for the defendant the some of the single source profiles that you developed. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And one of the items you described as items CC4A, CC5A, and CC8A. Do you see that?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer. Go ahead.
Yes, I do.
What do those items represent?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Those are cuttings of the apparent root ends of the hairs that I took off the sweatshirt.
I forgot to ask you about the hairs.
Objection leading.
Uh-oh.
Did you? I'm sorry, that was a statement. I'll move on, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You told Mr. Brooks on cross that you developed a single source profile for those hairs.
Oh
Is that
boy,
right?
here we go.
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name, and it's leading the witness.
The objections are noted. Overruled, the witness may answer.
That's correct.
Who was the source of those hairs on that sweatshirt? States exhibit number 84.
Objection, speculative.
Oh, it's not speculation.
Darrell Brooks is the source.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Perfect.
As much as I would love to have another witness, we're going to break for the night because it is 5:49. So, with that, I will give the instruction that I've been
This
giving
little dance he's
to
doing
the
there.
jurors. So please listen. Do not begin your
Never seen him do that
deliberations
before. It was
and
gross,
discussion of the case
though.
until all the evidence is presented.
Please
and I
don't
have
do
instruction on the law. Thank you. Be seated. Just briefly as to scheduling tomorrow, since we had a late evening, how about we start at 9 a.m. tomorrow? Any objection from the state?
No.
From Mr. Brooks? No. All right, 9 a.m.
That's
tomorrow. For scheduling purposes, I'll take up, obviously, tomorrow morning, whether the state can recall Detective Casey. That would be your last witness.
Yes.
All right, then, sir, you have
Casey's
the
coming
option,
back.
should you choose, of
Nice.
an opening statement. So you should be prepared for that. And then to call witnesses, I
We've had
believe you've
Detective
worked
Casey
with
before, right?
Attorney
Pretty
Opper.
sure.
Do you need to provide her with anything regarding that tomorrow?
I think they've already had him, and now Darrell asked for him to come back
All
or
right,
something
anything
like
else from the state?
No.
Any-
I don't have anything at this time, Your Honor. If you excuse us, then I'll make sure I get that paperwork from Mr. Brooks or the defendant, and we'll be ready to go.
All right, anything else from you, sir?
Oh, yeah, we're starting at 8:30, right? Or are we starting at 9 as well?
We're starting at 9.
Okay. Then Ms. Basie corrected me because we have to discuss Attorney Casey's testimony, but we also anticipate we'll have a motion in the morning, or I can tell you what it is right now, but I know the
Well, we
hour's
can
getting
then,
late.
I mean, if you think it's going to take some time, then I'll have the jurors come at 9, but I want to be mindful. I know, Mr. Brooks, we all had a long day. I'll do 8:45, but I'm not going to do any earlier than that.
I
And what
think
will
that's
the
fair,
motion
Your
be?
Honor. It's a motion to conform the information to fit the evidence.
Oh, all right, I'll take
What
that
is
up.
that?
We'll have it in writing for Mr. Brooks in the morning. Your Honor.
Okay.
What is
that'll
that?
be great. All right. Anything else from you, sir?
It's the first time he's
No,
asked actual questions about.
I redid the. It's not the exact order that I'm gonna call the witnesses, but it's pretty much
Who you want, like each time block, morning or afternoon?
exactly.
You'll be
It's-
ready to
it's
go
just
tomorrow?
not exact order like I'm gonna call this person.
I'm
this
not going to hold you to
person.
that, as long
Yeah.
as it's by time blocks, if you want to call it that, but be ready to
Well,
call
I did
witnesses.
it just so I can state for the record, so it'll be easy to follow. I did the names by threes. I'm guessing the first 3 would be the morning, the next 3 would be the evening, and then Friday 3 morning and then 3 evening. Is that fair?
I think so.
Yes, we may be able to move faster, but we will attempt to stay in contact with witnesses if we can, bring somebody here sooner. If the court's got time, we'll do that, but that's very reasonable.
And then do you have any idea how long you anticipate your opening will be?
Opening statement?
Yes.
I don't think it's any way to gauge how long it will be.
Just be mindful, sir, it's not the time to make argument. Opening statements, as I like to call them, and what the jury instruction references, it's the roadmap. So I will expect to hear a lot of the evidence will show, the testimony, things of that nature. If it turns into argument, that's what happens at the close of the case.
What do you mean by argument?
If you're trying to argue the evidence and what it means.
No, I'm not trying to argue.
But this will be what, basically to lay out what the defense, what I would expect is for you to lay out what the defense or defenses that you believe you'll be presenting evidence about will be. To kind of, again, give the jury a roadmap, an idea of what to expect as your witnesses come forward. And then at some point, I don't know whether you will make a decision to testify or not, but we do have to have a conversation on the record about that. So if you could just give me an idea, if you are going to testify yourself, if you think that would be at the beginning or at the end, so I can gauge when to have that conversation with you.
I don't know for sure yet at this point.
Fair enough. So
I wonder if he's going to do that.
At some point I'll have that conversation with you, though. All right. We'll see everyone at 8:45 tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. They're in recess.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, that is the end of day 10. Now that's interesting. I never thought about if he would testify or not, and I'm not sure if he does. I'm pretty sure he hasn't, or he didn't, I mean, because like I've never seen like a clip or something of him sitting in the witness stand or something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anything like that. But man, it seemed like day 10 just had it all. Really dumb questions. I feel like he asked the dumbest questions he could possibly come up with today. There were tantrums. There were times where I got angry and I just wanted to take as long as possible to not hear his voice anymore. So yeah, it felt like day 10 pretty much had a mixture of everything. I saw that Darrell had another hearing for his Milwaukee trial. I think it was the one about him shooting at his nephew. Now the only video I could find about it was from the channel Southern Law. I'll probably put it in the description or something if you guys want to go and check it out for yourselves. But I think all they did was just confirm the date for the Milwaukee trial. That was pretty much the only thing I saw there. I probably should have recorded it. I'm sorry I didn't. I think it's happening sometime in July. I have it in my notes, but I'm definitely going to react to that along with some footage from the Travis Rudolph trial that just wrapped up. And I also want to react to some stuff about the Brian Kopenberger. I think that's his name. I'm not sure. But it's quite a few cases and trials that I want to react to. Definitely let me know in the comment section what else you guys want me to react to as well. Like I have a list of them. I don't know if you all see that. I have a list of stuff that you've all told me about in the comment section, and I just write them down as soon as I read it. So thank you all so much. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you did something good for somebody today. Hope somebody did something good for you, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.